Shalom. I want to begin by giving our praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Uharu Kakodash. Double honors to the elders and to the apostles of Great Millstone, and enough respect to the brothers that are out there pushing and spreading the truth to the four corners of the world. Through the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, I just want to do a quick video. Try to do a quick video because there's a lot of information that I want to bring out within a short amount of time. So what I'm going to do is just start off with a few precepts. And then after that, I'm going to continuously read through the book, add a few commentaries here and there. And I'm going to try to the best of my abilities to not lose the focus of brothers and sisters that are watching. And so, by the end of this video, I hope, edification goes out to the church. And so, let's begin. Precepts, this is Proverbs chapter 4, verse 16. It says, "For they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away, unless they cause some to fall." Proverbs chapter 1, verse 16, it says, "For their feet run to evil, and make haste to shed blood." Psalms chapter 36, verse 4 says, "He devises mischief upon his bed. He setteth himself in a way that is not good. He abhorreth not evil." Micah chapter 2, verse 1, "Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their bed. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand." All right. So this is what's going on in Esau Edom's kingdom. Wherever you look, wherever you search, you find wickedness, traces of what? Iniquity. All right, and abominations. And this is an example of that. It is a book called "You Have the Right to Remain Innocent," and it's basically how the justice system of Babylon is a scam, and it targets. It's a snare onto good people, innocent people, and too many people have fallen victim to this flawed system. Okay, and so like Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 9, I'm gonna bring it up. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, we will preach the gospel, we will preach the word, and we will speak of the wickedness of this kingdom until this place be thrown down. Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 9, it says, "Then the Lord put forth his hand, then Yahweh put forth his hand and touched my mouth. And the Lord said unto me, Behold, I have put my words in thy mouth. See, I have this day set thee over the nations and over the kingdoms, to root out and to pull down and to destroy, and to throw down and to build and to plant." And this is the power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. This is the power of the gospel of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. And we will use it effectively to the downfall of this kingdom. So with these precepts being brought out, again, it's going to be very boring. But I hope brothers have the discipline and the time to sit down and actually absorb the information. And I also encourage brothers to actually get the book, because I'm not going to break out every single thing in the book. Only the parts where I have written in and marked. All right. So reading, it says, "Everyone who is privileged enough to know the criminal justice system operates in America, to know how the criminal justice system operates in America, would never advise their loved ones to waive the right to remain silent in the face of what criminal investigation. We routinely see people in power, such as police officers and government officials, pleading the fifth, like Lois Lerner, the former director of the Internal Revenue Service exempt organizations unit, who asserted her Fifth Amendment privileges and refused to answer any question when she was summoned before the Congressional Committee in 2013. Now, these are officials who have made a career out of talking people into waiving their rights to remain silent. But when the questions are suddenly directed at them, they will not waive their own. Okay? This is the double standard that's going on. This is the hypocrisy that's going on. Now, the people in power, they know the system is flawed. They know there's something wrong with the system. That's why they are unwilling to cooperate with it when they are put in a situation of a man who is at the mercy of who's at the mercy of the authorities. But they keep it that way because they relish in the destruction of the innocent. It says you need to pause for a moment and let that sink in. It doesn't matter whether you are liberal or conservative. I don't even care whether you are heartless enough to remain unconcerned about the fact that our legal system routinely convicts innocent people. Nobody of sound mind can dispute that there is something fundamentally wrong and intrinsically corrupt about the legal system that encourages police officers and prosecutors to do everything in their power to persuade you and your children, no matter how young or old, to do the right thing and talk, when they tell their own children the exact opposite. I intend to bring to an end once and for all that obscene double standard in the American criminal justice system that allows only the citizens who are in the know to protect themselves from a legal system that is designed to prey upon the ignorance and good intentions. It says this book will explain what every police officer knows about the American criminal justice system. It will explain how even innocent criminal suspects can unwillingly give the police information that can be used to help convict them in a crime they did not commit. Let me quickly clarify and acknowledge that there are several situations in which it is perfectly fine to briefly talk to the police. And I'm bringing out this specific part right here because I also want to make things clear that, in light of this information, it doesn't mean, it doesn't, give you permission to be a prick to the cops. Okay. It doesn't mean, you should go out and be a jerk to the police. When use your common sense. When the moment calls for it, cooperate. Okay. Cooperate. And, like the scripture says, if agree with an adversary quick, so just keep that in mind. Be you have the knowledge, but you need to have the wisdom of utilizing that knowledge properly. Okay, so it says, for example, you might get locked out of your own house and find you have to climb into your darkened home in the middle of the night through a window, perhaps by breaking the glass, or maybe you have some strange reason for standing outside at night looking through the window of your home with a flashlight, or by jimmying the lock of your car. Or perhaps you have some lawful reason to be walking around in the middle of the night inside a government building that has been locked up, one of which nobody else has any reason to be inside. Or you're a teenager with an innocent explanation for walking down an alley carrying two brand new bikes while everyone else at your age is in school. These are all reasonable suspicious activity, right? So when you are in positions similar, when you are in these kinds of situations, be wise, and explain yourself and go home. Okay, don't do anything else that escalates the matter, and now you're in jail. Okay. It says if a police officer encounters you in one of those moments, he or she has every right to ask you two simple questions. Memorize these two questions so you will not be tempted to answer any other. Who are you, and what are you doing right here, right now? If you're ever approached by a police officer with those questions, and your God-given common sense tells you that the officer is being reasonable in asking for an explanation, don't be a jerk. Okay, that's the end of that. So we're gonna move on. It says, but you cannot make your situation any better by refusing to cooperate with the officer. Well, this is linking back to the previous one. No matter how unreasonable you may think the officer is being, or by refusing to disclose two simple things, your name and whether you have some lawful reason for your curious presence or conduct at that moment at the same place where the officer already knows you are, because he or she is standing right there with you. So in that moment, you cooperate. But when it comes to investigations, they want answers from you for help of interrogation. That is when you are wary. That is when you are withholding. Don't be too eager to shoot off your mouth because that'll be your doom. Okay, you'll be gambling with your freedom at that point. It says those are the only two things you should tell the police officer in that context, and they are both in the present time, right? It's a present time. So they ain't coming to you about something that happened a long time ago. All right. About an investigation. We need your help. We're trying to find out what happened. None of that. None of that stuff. All right. Look through it. Let's see. Oh yeah, so let me just bring that right now. It says, but if the police officer tried to strike up a conversation with you about the past and where you were 30 minutes earlier and who you were with and where you had dinner and with whom, you will not answer those questions. Um, you will not be rude, but you will always firmly decline with all due respect to answer those questions, right? So we know which situations in which we talk, so to speak. So keep reading on. Oh, sorry. Hey, like I said, man, this is gonna be very boring. So let's try to sum it up, that discipline, and try to get through this. It says, many years ago, when the world was much simpler than it is today, a young legal advisor named Jiminy Cricket was able to cheerfully and enthusiastically advise Pinocchio, always let your conscience be your guide. And that's why I have number one here. One of the many points that I want to bring out in this video. I have them numbered. And the first point right here is that the book brings out is your conscience. See, this place is so complicated. The laws of this land are so complicated, that you can't just simply, like, you can't naturally say, okay, this is lawful, this is illegal, this is legal, this isn't illegal, because as the book is going to bring out, there are tens of thousands of laws, federal laws, okay, that you're going to find out that it tells you that the average American, anybody that lives in America, almost damn near breaks it every day. You break at least 3 every day, so hey, this place, man. And you know what's crazy? These are the same people that always complain about the 613 commandments that the Most High brought upon, that the Most High wrote in the Torah. Okay? Same people. The audacity of these people, man. Here it is. The Most High is doing too much when he brings 600 commandments. But then, they can bring tens of thousands of commandments. And then they make it vague. Like, the book is also going to bring that fact out too. They make it extremely vague. So the laws, it cuts either way. So really, when the federal government really wants you in jail, they can literally do that shit overnight. Okay, all they have to do is misinterpret the laws and have your ass in handcuffs and throw you in jail. All right. It says he advised Pinocchio, always let your conscience be your guide. It is not a terrible advice at that time, but in those days was a fairly close correspondence between law and morality. In those days, nothing was forbidden by the law unless it was obviously immoral, dishonest, or dangerous to the general public. It was almost inconceivable that an accused criminal could ever claim to have no idea that whatever he or she was doing was against the law. Those days are long gone, because in the matrix of a rampant horror often described as overcriminalization, it is no longer possible for you to rely on your own conscience or common sense as a reliable guide for whatever you have committed, for whether you have committed a crime. All right. It says one recent investigation revealed that the United States Congress was passing a new criminal law once a week on average. It has been reported that the problem is so severe that even the Congressional Research Service is no longer able. Get this, they are no longer able to keep count of the exact number of federal crimes. Okay, these laws are scattered throughout all sections of the United States Code and include thousands of criminal statutes. Even if you somehow had the time to read every page of the federal laws written down in the United States Code, and even practicing lawyers no longer have the time to read all those laws, you still would not know all the different ways you could be you could be prosecuted by the federal government. Why? Because what? The laws are vague. They're not specific enough. That's because many of those statutes written by the Congress reference the obscure provisions of many thousands of regulations that have been issued by every federal regulatory agency. It has been estimated that there are tens of thousands of these obscure regulations, any one of which could potentially subject you to criminal prosecution. And that is just a list of federal crime statutes. The states have an even greater number of crimes in the books. Okay, so this is the land in which we live in, a land in which, you are surrounded. Uh, there's snares all around you. Traps all around you. As Justice Stephen Breyer of the United States Supreme Court correctly complained in 1998, the complexity of modern federal criminal laws codified in several thousand sections of the United States Code and a virtually infinite variety of factual circumstances that might trigger an investigation into a possible violation of the law make it possible for anyone to know in advance just when a particular set of statements might later appear to a prosecutor to be relevant to some such investigation. In other words, the deck is stacked heavily against you, and you have no idea, what you're up against. People who want to read all the federal laws on the books, if they had 3 decades of free time on their hands, could find could find them all at any law library collected in a voluminous set of books, of book called the United States Code, which is organized in different sections called titles. One of these 52 sections, known as Title 18, is called Crimes and Criminal Procedure. It is where any ordinary American citizen would expect to find a complete list of all crimes recognized under federal law. But even if you took years off your life to read through the entire portions of the code, believe it or not, you would have missed hundreds of the criminal laws on the books, because they are not all contained in Title 18. Why not? There is not one good reason. It is almost as if our government was determined to do whatever it could to make it nearly impossible for the average American to have any idea what is and what is not forbidden by the law. So they're trying to hide themselves. They're trying to they hide it so they could it could be easier for them to pervert justice. Legend has it that one wicked Roman emperor had his laws posted on the top of a high pillar so that no citizen could find and read them. But at least you could get at them with a ladder. The thousands of American criminal statutes no longer coincide with common sense. Yeah, right? This goes into Unrighteous Decrees. Like, some things don't make no sense at all. Years ago, the Supreme Court held that you could be convicted and imprisoned for committing a crime, even if you had no criminal intent and absolutely no knowledge that your conduct was forbidden by the law. Congress has exploited that loophole with ruthless impunity and has passed countless laws that do not require the prosecutor to show that you had any idea that your conduct might be illegal. Let's see. So it says, this is one of the primary reasons why it is no longer possible to avoid becoming a criminal by relying on one's conscience and general understanding of the law. Let's see. The United States Attorney General Edwin Meese correctly complained Congress and state legislators have created thousands of erotic crimes that serve as snares and traps for the average American, and which transform activities until recently no one ever considered criminal, such as erecting a fence around your property, investing for your retirement, or disposing of used cooking oil, into potentially criminal conduct. You see? So every day that they wake up, these men are always trying to find ways to what to make life difficult because they relish in that. um so an example of this outrageousness is, it is a federal criminal offense to wear or display the emblem of the 4-H clubs, or even just a colorable imitation. If you are trying to fool anyone into thinking that you're associated with those clubs with the intent to defraud that person, you may be sent to prison for up to 6 months for that violation. You can also go to prison for up to 6 months for the unauthorized use of the character or the name Wootsy Owl, for the purpose of making profit. The same is also true if you knowingly possess any alligator grass or water chestnut or hasten plants that have been shipped across state line, or just the seeds of such grass or plants. Let me jump down to it. It is also a federal offense, again, carrying a potential penalty for up to 6 months in a federal prison if you use the Swiss coat of arms in any advertising of your business. I would include a picture of the coat of arms here so you can see what I'm talking about, but I cannot take the chances that I might be sent to prison. 2 years ago, young sailors thought they were doing a good deed by what? By freeing a 500-pound sea turtle who had become entangled in a buoy that wrapped around its head and fins. But they were later told by an agent from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration that what they did was a violation of the Endangered Species Act, which they did, which makes it illegal to handle an endangered or potential species. Luckily for them, they were members of the Kennedy family, so they were not prosecuted. But they could have been, and their good intentions and their ignorance of this law would have been no defense at all. Um, to make matters worse, the statutes themselves are carelessly and clumsily crafted. For far too long, Congress and the state legislators have been filled with men and women who are either unable or unwilling to write laws with care. Okay? They are unwilling to write laws with care and precision necessary to make them plain and unambiguous. It takes a lot of time. Let me hold the book right. It's a lot of blurriness. It says it takes a lot of time and hard work to carefully craft a criminal law so it is directed specifically at the kind of misconduct that Congress means to forbid. It is so much easier to write to write the statutes as broadly as possible and let the courts try to sort out the mess. Just look at these horrendous examples. One, federal law makes it a crime to import, export, transport, sell, receive, acquire, or purchase any fish or wildlife or plant taken, possessed, transported, or sold in violation of any law, treaty, or regulation of the United States, or in violation of any Indian tribal law, any law of regulations of any state. I'm trying to find the right example that I'm looking for. Right. This part right here, it says, did you know that you could be guilty of a felony under federal law if you are found in possession of a short lobster because it was a little smaller than the ones you lawfully possess? It's smaller than the ones you could lawfully possess. If you are charged with such an offense, it doesn't matter whether it was dead or alive or whether you killed it. It doesn't even matter whether you killed it in self-defense. You will not find this law, even if you set aside 5 years of your life to read the entire sections of the United States Code governing crimes and criminal procedure. However, because this crime is listed in Title 16, the United States Code, in a section that collects all the laws and governing conduct of what conservation. Right. Again, like I said, man, this is gonna be you know, it's gonna drag on, but it's a lot of information here. So I'm trying to the best of my abilities, to bring out edification. So, you know, um, it says another federal law makes it a felony for a person knowingly to deliver or cause to be delivered for transmission through the mails or interstate commerce by telegraph, telephone, wireless, or other means of communication false or misleading or knowingly false or misleading or knowingly inaccurate reports concerning crops or market informations or conditions that affect or tend to what affect the price of any commodity in interstate commerce. For this crime, you can be fined up to $1 million and imprisoned for up to 10 years. If you are ever prosecuted for a violation of this law, the way it is written, all the government needs to do is put you behind bars, right? All the government needs to do to put you behind bars is prove that you sent anybody a single bit of inaccurate information that somehow concerned crop or commodity market information or conditions. It does not matter whether you send that message by a telephone or email or telegraph. It does not matter who you send that letter to. It does not matter whether the information was actually false or merely misleading. It does not matter whether your note actually had any effect on market prices anywhere, or even whether you intended for it to have that effect. The way this law was written by the morons in Congress, you are guilty of a felony if you send a postcard to your grandmother in nursing, right? In a nursing home, trying to make her feel better by lying about how nice, okay, the weather has been in Florida, or how low the gas prices have been. And you will not find this law in Title 18 either. This one is buried in the bowels of Title 7, Section 13, which lists the laws supposedly regulated agriculture. So they hide the laws all around, and a lot of people are ignorant as to how the as to what is legal and illegal. So they essentially have everybody at their mercy, so to speak. Um, It says, even criminal laws that are aimed at truly harmful conduct are almost always ridiculously overboard. One asinine federal laws on a book has the perfectly natural objective of trying to prevent terrorists from using chemical weapons to cause the massive infliction of death or physical injury on huge numbers of innocent persons. But the way it is actually written, it forbids anyone to use or merely possess any chemical weapon, which is defined to include any chemical which through chemical action on life process can cause death, temporary incapacitation, or permanent harm to persons or animals, unless it is used for certain very narrowly defined purpose permitted under the law. The potential for temporary inconvenience or mild irritation of a single animal will classify a substance as a chemical weapon. The way the statute is written, as the Supreme Court noted with frustration a couple years ago, it is a felony under federal law if a parent, exasperated by the child's repeated failure to clean the fish tank, hold it this way, you know, to clean the fish tank, considers poisoning the fish with a few drops of vinegar. And of course, that is only half the problem, because this statute forbids both the use and mere possession of such a chemical weapon. So you will be guilty of violation just by picking up the vinegar at the grocery store for that purpose, even if federal agents caught and arrested you before you poisoned the tank. You see how things are in this land? All right. Um, so this is why you can't let your conscience guide you. Let me see. Slovakia. Um, right. Continue. It says, because of laws like these and countless others, legal experts now agree that just about everybody in the nation, whether they know it or not, is guilty of numerous felonies for which they could be prosecuted. One reliable estimate is that the average American now commits approximately 3 felonies a day, as one federal judge recently observed, because um, one reliable estimate is that average Americans now commit approximately 3 felonies a day, as one federal judge recently observed, because there are thousands of federal crimes. My phone is on low battery. There are thousands of federal crimes and thousands of federal regulations that can be criminally enforced. And the sad truth today is that most people have committed at least one crime carrying serious consequences, including countless Americans who have no idea what laws they have broken or how they may have done so. This is why you cannot listen to your conscience when faced by a police officer and think I have nothing to hide. All right. Um, so pretty much this is the first point brought out. Like I said, I didn't want this video to be very long, so I'm gonna do a series of this and then bring out as much information as I can. So yeah, man, this place is the laws of this land is shrouded in secrecy. Okay, and intended. Those that write the laws, they are very lazy, and it is very damaging to the public, but they don't care. You know, so it's detrimental to the public, especially our people, Jakes, as the book is gonna bring out too. A lot of so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans fall victim to this system. All right, but it is what it is. So with that, I hope edification goes out. Shall I continue when I have the time? Keep going and make the second point. So Lord willing, this was edifying. I know this was boring. I know this is going to be a very, very, boring, but like I said, it's very, very informational. And the reason I'm making this video is because I had, one of the elders. There was a time where the FBI showed up in brothers' houses, and so I just thought I might bring out this information. So I hope edification goes out to the brothers that I watch. I want to say shalom, Yahweh Bashim Shabrakatha. To the few aquafs that are also listening in truth and sharing, I also want to say shalom, Yahweh Bashim Shabrakatha. May the blessing of blessing be upon all the houses. May the Most High come down quick, man. May the return of Yahweh Bashim Shai be soon, and turn this place upside down, because it's grievous to live upon this place every day. All right, so with that, I'm gonna end right there. Shalom.